Hello. I haven't made a video for a while. That's because I've been very busy writing my memoir. I just finished a very important chapter. And I predict that this memoir will become one of the most famous memoirs ever published in America. Remember, I said that. What do you think? You just read my last chapter, or did you read it? Or, he can barely read, but...
Here's my opinion.
He has to blow his nose first.
No, that was my opinion. You wanted my opinion? I just gave you my opinion. Yes, I did read it, and I thought it was very good. Except for that one thing that you told me about. When you mentioned it, and I said, well, I have to read that. I don't believe you really said that. About having the piss scared out of you when you had to go in. I looked on there and I could not find that. See? There you go.
What are you talking?
You're talking.
Well, naturally, he's not going to express all the enthusiasm that
Well, I
this
can't because
memoir deserves, but
I'm the only one that's
the
willing to
reason-
publish it. Everybody else wants to touch it with one of them 10-foot,
well, I'll
20-foot
tell you
poles,
why they
you know?
don't want to touch it, because I'm still one of the most
You certainly are. You are one of the most.
one of the most
And that's to say the least. You are one of the most.
Now, the chapter I just wrote, I had never been to a psychiatrist before. I was a senior at the university, but the head of my department was desperate. He thought he was finally resorted to sending me to the psychiatrist. So I went over there, and I kid you not, within, I don't even think it was 2 minutes, I managed to persuade him that I needed instant hospitalization. He went out and found an armed officer
We talked about this
to take
before.
me away.
Don't ever go talk to a psychiatrist when you're pointing a gun at him, because he doesn't like that. Psychiatrists do not like have guns pointed at
Well,
them.
I did this all myself without even any help from anything like
A gun?
a gun. No, I was a world record
And
of
don't-
someone
Here's another thing they don't like.
acting in such a manner that the psychiatrist would commit them almost immediately. And you want to know how I did it? You're gonna have to read the memoir. You can't.
You just told him how you did it. You had a gun and you went like that, see? Psychiatrists don't like that.
I was one of the most polite
Yeah, right.
people at that time. Subdued. I mean, I had
They subdued
a
you,
father
all right.
who issued orders and expected them to be obeyed without question. He had told me that there were 2 things that I could be in college, or he would not pay for it: a secretary and a teacher. Well, I'd been run out of Sunday school at 15. I was not allowed to teach.
Oh, I thought they just ran you out of Sunday school.
No, they allowed me to attend
they allowed you to
church,
attend,
but
see.
not
You
to
have to
teach.
be a little more explicit about these things.
And there were just a lot of reasons that I felt that that a teacher's degree was not going to do me any good in Utah, because in a month, I figured it would take me a month to be fired. And my father didn't believe me.
Well-
Not until after I had been incarcerated.
No. Listen,
Within.
as long as I've known you, you're about 3 weeks longer than I anticipated. I figured by the end of the first week they would say, I believe we're going to have to discontinue your contract. Why?
And
you got
then-
something wrong with me? Well, no.
The chapter that's coming up is even more fascinating because once I got in there, guess what they wanted to do? They wanted to give me a series of electric shock treatment.
Well,
and I did not like that at all.
Well, I don't
And
think
so I
anybody
thought,
really likes it.
Everybody in there was getting it. And I thought, how can I beat this?
Well, I thought, yeah, you could have beaten it.
I can't let them do this to my magnificent mind.
Well, you should've-
I've got too good a mind to have chunks of it torn out or,
Well, you should've
or
gone for the-
damaged or obliterated.
For the
So-
prefrontal lobotomy, where they used to stick those knitting needles up underneath your eyelids and then start, churning up the prefrontal lobotomy. So, that's you would take you under control, and then you'd go, oh, I feel good.
I said to myself, they must not be allowed to give me electric shock treatment. So a mighty battle of the wills ensued between me and the head of the psychiatric department in the medical school at the university, who was my doctor and was determined. I mean, what do you think? A 20-year-old is going to say, hey, I don't like the idea of electric shock treatment. I don't think I deserve it. I am not insane. Everything I've done has a reason.
Well, see, the most people who
I
are-
had an interview with him. I presented my case. Well, you can imagine. I mean, he's going to say, oh, yes, of course, we'll just let you go home after you've caused all this rumpus, had 11 psychiatrists working on you, and we'll just let you go home. Bye, you don't like our treatment. The chances of what he
That's
that
what
he
I
was
would've
going
done.
to let me go were so dim. Well, I'm not going to tell you anymore because I just can't. That's why I'm writing the memoir. I have to explain what I did to keep them from. Oh, I came out pretty damaged, but I had my mind intact.
Right.
I had not been shocked.
That's right. Oh, and by the way,
And
I know-
they didn't dare give me electric shock treatment after what happened.
may I make one comment here?
Yes,
You remember what the psychiatrist said as you were leaving? In the horse you rode in on, so hit it.
So,
You did come in on a horse, you know that.
And then
That's
my
where that came
father,
from, when the horse you
my
rode in
father was notified that, I was now in a hospital. He come roaring up from southern Utah, and my mother, going to say, what have you done now? Well, they wouldn't even let him. They wouldn't even let him. I just turned my back to the wall and just wouldn't even talk to him.
Well,
And my mother wanted to,
that's a
she
sign
had
of sanity
always
right there.
been, never allowed her children to sass her or even look sideways, And she wanted to grab me and force me to talk. And my dad said, no, we can't do that. So he took her over and they consulted. And,
So your dad got his bullwhip out.
yeah, they decided bullwhips weren't going to
Mom
work.
slapping the crap out of you,
Whippings weren't
or you
going to,
getting the
nothing was
bullwhip,
going to work. I was in a facility where, and I had told him, I said, my parent, you're giving them permission to sign for my electric shock when they're mostly to blame for me being here. My dad's an alcoholic. He is, you would not believe how this man acts. And, well, obviously the answer was this. They were my parents. They were out and I was in. So therefore they could sign for my treatment.
You seem to have a problem with that.
Well, I had a bad problem with it. No, they were going to use my parents to permit them to give me this treatment. Although they could have given it to me without. If they decided that I was a public menace or, So I was just fighting this mighty battle. Then I found out that I had to fight the psychiatrist who was determined to give me, they were all
Now remember
Give him
I told you
electric
that
shock.
psychiatrists don't like fights, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't have to fight. They have the advantage over you. If you're in there
One of my favorite
locked
psychiatrists.
up,
She's laying on the couch. A psychiatrist is asking her questions. And then she looks over at the psychiatrist and she says, I told you, doctor, for some reason people don't seem to like me. Open up your ears, fathead.
well, as soon as I got in
psychiatrists
there,
get a little ticked off at that.
I had new causes to fight. The fights of mental patients, especially women. Because I looked around and I said, oh, one woman told me, don't be afraid of electric shock. I've had 200. And
I learned to love them.
200! And she's still standing.
I'm
but
addicted to electric
not
shock.
well, because as soon as I said, you've had, what, 200? And then she began to get a little upset, and they were, and they
I told you that-
immediately shushed me
That
up.
freak
Don't
will
get
bother
her
me. Once you do that,
upset
takes care of
about
it.
this. Oh, see, I
Don't
just
you
found
have
new causes to fight in there. I thought, my God, it's a good thing I came in here so I could see what they were doing to women, especially women, and what a nervous
Right.
breakdown can cost you.
A guy can't get one of those if he wants one. What if I want one?
A so-called nervous breakdown.
Well, you've
which,
told me I need it
of
on
course,
many occasions.
anybody who happens to get locked up in there has presumably had a nervous breakdown.
Well, you're
And
presuming
so
something that
anyway,
may not be real.
I am now going to start writing about what happened in there.
And now, since you're going to be reliving it, folks, she's going to have another nervous breakdown. And I'm the only one.
I'm
that
trying
she
not
can-
to have one.
that she can beat up on. See, I'm going to be.
So-called.
Notice he hasn't hit me yet, but.
But isn't it wonderful that the old can tell you about their fascinating lives that
Oh,
you
yeah,
didn't
I'm
even
fascinated.
think they had?
Ta-da.
So, think what you have in store for you. If someone in America dares print this, publish it, or promote it, if I can get it out there, because I am still regarded as extremely dangerous, and people should be cautious, very cautious about reading
There are a lot more words I
anything
was
that I
thinking about.
write. Yes, yes. So whether you get to read this memoir we will have to see if we can get it past all the obstacles out there, because there's a lot of very scared people in America who don't dare do anything. Women who have to wear high spike heels, every one of them, when they appear on TV. And they have to have their legs in prime conditions so they can sit there and wear these spike heels. And they have to be this big around, if possible.
I don't have any problem with that.
So, no, he didn't have any. But here am I,
I don't have any problem with that.
with beefy arms, too heavy, way too heavy to wear spike heels, I'll tell you that. So, who would want to read what this revolting human being who's not even skinny would say? Isn't that it? I mean, fat women are
Pretty much
scary.
it. That's
Well,
it.
I'm saying, I don't excuse it. It's just what it is. Why? Well, read the memoir and find out. Read. How?
Here's the 2-minute warning.
I was like 120 pounds at that time. How did I put that on? Oh, we'll find out. Because I'll tell you the truth, unvarnished truth, what I think. So, I'm excited. I'm finally getting to the end of it. Thank you.